He bought a top fuel team in complete silence. No press conference. No big reveal. Just a quiet phone call, a signed contract, and a nitro dragster that suddenly belonged to a man everyone thought only cared about pro stock. And by the time the drag racing world noticed what had actually happened, it was already too late to stop it. Before we go any further, let me know where you're watching this from, drop your city or country in the comments, then let's get back to Connie's story. Wait, Connie's story?
No.
This isn't about Connie Kalita. This is about a man who's been quietly building something far more dangerous to the entire NHRA field, and his name is Richard Freeman. For over a decade, Freeman ran Elite Motorsports like a fortress. 8 pro stock cars. 4 championships. A reputation as the most ruthless, most calculated team owner in the sport. But here's the part nobody talks about. Freeman himself once looked a reporter dead in the eye and said, "I have no interest in leaving pro stock." He said it like a man defending his territory. He said it like it was the truth. It wasn't. Because while he was saying those words, something else was already happening behind closed doors. Trailers were being ordered. Chassis were already in production. And a name that belonged to a completely different category, Top Fuel, was quietly being attached to Elite Motorsports paperwork. Freeman wasn't just expanding. He was building something that had never existed in this form before. And almost nobody saw it coming. Then the first crack in the secret appeared. Josh Hart, a Top Fuel team owner, made a decision that stunned insiders. He sold his entire operation. Not to a Nitro veteran. Not to a Top Fuel loyalist. He sold it to Freeman. The Pro Stock King now owned a dragster program in a category he swore he wasn't chasing. And that's when people started asking the question that should have been asked months earlier. What exactly is Richard Freeman building? The answer arrived in pieces, and each piece made the picture more unsettling. Freeman didn't just want a top fuel car. He wanted 3. Full-time. At full stride. That's not an experiment. That's an invasion. But then something changed the entire conversation. A name walked into the picture that no one expected to see behind the wheel of a nitro dragster, Tony Stewart. 3-time NASCAR Cup champion. Former IndyCar champion. A man who had already proven he could dominate machines most drivers spend a lifetime trying to understand. Stewart didn't just join Freeman's program. He became the face of it. And here's where it gets personal. Stewart didn't take that seat because he wanted glory. He took it because someone else needed time. Leah Pruitt, his own wife, stepped away from Top Fuel, and Stewart quietly slid into her seat, saying he was simply keeping it warm until she was ready to come back. In 2026, she did come back. And Stewart gave the seat back exactly like he promised. But instead of walking away from the sport, he found a new door, Freeman's door, an alliance that let him keep racing while his wife reclaimed her place on the track. That single decision connected 2 of the most powerful operations in NHRA history. Freeman's money and infrastructure. Stewart's name and racing instinct. Together, forming something insiders started calling a technical alliance, a phrase that sounds harmless until you realize what it actually means. It means shared engineering, shared data, shared advantage. Nobody expected what came next. Mike Green, a championship-winning crew chief who had spent the season tuning Justin Ashley's dragster to elite performance, walked away. He didn't retire. He didn't fade into the background. He walked straight into Freeman's operation. A crew chief leaving a championship-contending team mid-career to join a program that, technically, didn't even exist a year earlier? That's not a career move. That's a message. And the message was simple. Freeman wasn't building a side project. He was building a machine designed to win immediately. That's when everything fell apart for anyone who thought this was just another team expansion. Because the names kept coming. Erica Enders, a 6-time Pro Stock World Champion, one of the most decorated drivers in the category's history, was suddenly being talked about behind the wheel of a Top Fuel dragster. Aaron Stanfield, another Pro Stock talent, right alongside her. 2 drivers who had spent their entire careers mastering one discipline were now being positioned to conquer another. Freeman wasn't recruiting outsiders. He was pulling his own champions out of Pro Stock and pushing them straight into Nitro. And that's when the real question hit everyone at once. Was Freeman building a Top Fuel team? Or was he quietly constructing something that blurred the entire structure of professional drag racing? The answer was darker and bigger than anyone expected. Freeman didn't just want cars in two categories. He wanted the rules themselves to bend. Reports confirmed he was pushing NHRA to allow drivers to compete in multiple professional categories during the same event. Think about what that actually means. A driver racing Pro Stock and Top Fuel on the same weekend, under the same team umbrella, generating twice the exposure, twice the sponsorship value, twice the dominance. If that rule ever changes, it doesn't just help Freeman. It rewrites the entire competitive landscape of the sport. But the biggest surprise was still ahead. While everyone was fixated on Top Fuel, Freeman was expanding somewhere else entirely: Pro Mod. Elite Motorsports quietly became the presenting sponsor of the NHRA Pro Mod Series for the 2026 season. Pro Stock, Top Fuel, Pro Mod. 3 professional categories. One man's name attached to all of them. This wasn't a team anymore. This was starting to look like an empire. And then came the moment that revealed the human side buried underneath all this ambition. 2 brand-new chassis were being built with canopy technology, a safety feature that adds weight and slightly reduces performance. Freeman could have skipped it. Speed is everything in this sport. But he didn't skip it, because Leah Pruitt and Tony Stewart specifically asked for it. Green, who helped pioneer canopy technology years earlier, explained it wasn't about winning faster. It was about survival. In a sport where nitromethane engines explode with catastrophic force in a fraction of a second, that decision mattered more than any championship trophy. For a moment, the empire didn't look ruthless. It looked human. But that moment didn't last. Because behind the scenes, sponsorship money started flooding in. R+L carriers signed on as the primary backer of the new Top Fuel dragster, giving the program instant financial stability most new teams spend years trying to secure. JBS Equipment stepped in as title sponsor of Pro Mod, with Elite standing right beside them as presenting sponsor. Every category Freeman touched suddenly had major financial firepower behind it. Just when it looked like the story was finished, it wasn't. Because the deeper you look into this, the more it becomes clear, Freeman wasn't chasing one championship. He was positioning Elite Motorsports to dominate an entire sport across every major professional class simultaneously. Pro Stock Legacy. Top Fuel Firepower. Pro Mod Influence. Star Power from Stewart. Championship Pedigree from Enders and Stanfield. A defected crew chief who already knows how to win. And a safety-driven, family-connected foundation that makes the whole operation feel less like a corporate takeover and more like something built out of loyalty, love, and calculated risk all at once. So now, heading into the 2026 season, teams across the NHRA paddock aren't just preparing to race Elite Motorsports. They're preparing to race a version of drag racing that hasn't fully existed before. One team, spread across 3 categories, backed by championship talent, major sponsors, and a name that once swore he wasn't chasing any of this. Was that denial a lie? Or did Richard Freeman not even realize how big this would become until it was already unstoppable? One thing is certain. This isn't the story of a man adding a car to his roster. This is the story of a quiet, calculated rise that could redefine what dominance in NHRA even means. And somewhere in a shop in Texas right now, 2 canopy dragsters are sitting under bright shop lights, engine silent, waiting for a season that could change everything. If you think Richard Freeman is building the future of drag racing, or building a monopoly that could hurt the sport, say it in the comments. And if stories like this keep you hooked from the first second to the last, subscribe, because the next chapter of this story is coming, and you won't want to miss it.